Cami Knight joins us in the studio. Very good evening to you.
Hi, Mark.
Now, Cami, American energy generation has got a little bit cleaner this year. Tell us how.
That's right. Wind power has actually become a bigger source of electricity in the US than coal. That's according to data from the Energy Information Administration. Wind was responsible for 47.7 million megawatt hours of energy in April, whilst coal was only responsible for 37.2 million. It's good news for the environment, given that 2 decades ago, coal produced about half of all the electricity in the US. Today, it accounts for just 16% of American power generation. That shift could slow down, though, with the power required by artificial intelligence data centres, potentially delaying the retirement of a number of coal-fired power plants. There's also a lot of uncertainty ahead for the wind farm industry. Companies had already been contending with surging borrowing costs and supply chain issues. Now they also have to face the prospect of Donald Trump, who's notoriously opposed to wind power, being back in the White House. The Panama Canal's administrator says it expects to complete a $1 billion construction of a new water reservoir within the next 6 years. It would help ensure 36 ships can once again pass through the global waterway after it had to be reduced due to severe drought. The project will become part of the network of existing artificial lakes that allow for safe passage through the canal and that provide water for residents of Panama City. Tom Canetti has more.
Panamanians are in need of fresh water, both for drinking and for the country's valuable canal that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. A lack of water has decreased the maximum number of ships travelling through the 82-kilometre waterway due to drought that has reduced the supply of water needed to operate the locks. After years of lobbying, a court has ruled in favour of building another reservoir to supplement the main supply of water.
The Panama Canal sacrificed transit for the sake of providing drinking water to the population. What is important is that in the longer term, we do not have to face that dilemma again and can compensate for the volume of water extracted for human consumption while maintaining the reliable operation of the Panama Canal.
Not enough rain has fallen to feed the watershed system of rivers and brooks that fill the current reservoir system, whose waters in turn fill the locks that lift ships up over the terrain. The watershed also supplies fresh water to Panama City, home to about half of the country's 4 million population. The deficit of water means the normal average ship count has dropped from 36 to 31 per day. That could affect about 100 million tonnes of cargo. Another blow to international shipping, which has also been affected by Houthi rebels, disrupting the route through the Suez Canal in the Red Sea. The project could take around 6 years to build, meaning last year's $3.3 billion revenue from the canal could take a hit well into the future.
Let's take a quick look at the day's trading action now. European stocks closing lower on Tuesday as investors weighed up political uncertainty here in France after Sunday's election. France's CAC 40 closing down over 1.5%. BP also fell 4% after the oil giant said it expected a second quarter earnings hit. In the US, meanwhile, a much more positive picture, the S&P 500 rising to a fresh record, the Nasdaq also reaching a record. It comes as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell told lawmakers that keeping interest rates elevated for too long could jeopardise economic growth. Markets expect the Fed to begin cutting rates in September and to follow up with another quarter percentage point reduction by the end of the year. Let's hear from Powell.
The Federal Reserve remains squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Over the past 2 years, the economy has made considerable progress toward the Fed's 2% inflation goal, and labor market conditions have cooled while remaining strong.
What's known as the Summer Camp for Billionaires kicks off this week. Every year, some of the richest and most powerful leaders in business, media and politics fly their private jets to Sun Valley, Idaho, for an event hosted by New York investment bank Allen & Company. The summit's agenda and lecture topics are kept secret, and the few reporters who attend are typically asked to stay off the record. That's so that billionaires can talk freely and in some cases forge historic multi-billion-dollar deals. This year, people like OpenAI's Sam Altman, Apple's Tim Cook and Meta's Mark Zuckerberg are said to be attending, as well as Rupert Murdoch and Oprah Winfrey. They'll have plenty to talk about, but the future of the US and President Joe Biden's ability to campaign will undoubtedly be on the agenda, Mark.
I think next year we should send you to this event.
I wish.
Maybe even as a delegate. Who knows one day. Tammy Knight there with all the business. It's time now to